We're a proud member of the Paranormality Podcast Network. Welcome to the show. I'm Jack Kirby, and this is Paranormality, paranormal podcast we listen to. Be sure to check us out on all our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our Facebook group, Paranormal Podcasts We Listen To. All the links are going to be in the show notes. On this episode, I spoke with the ladies of the Ladies Fright podcast. Now, they have a wonderful podcast where they talk about ghost stories, cryptids, urban legends, and all sorts of fun things like that. But they have a little twist. They want to know why it's so scary. Now, let's join the ladies from the Ladies Fright podcast. Hello, Jackie, Maggie, and Loren. How are you all doing?
Hello.
We're good. We're great.
I'm doing great.
Hello.
Good. Hey.
So I have to admit, we went through this whole big spiel, and I wasn't recording because we were having technical difficulties earlier. Yeah. So this is our second go around with this.
So it's going to be the best go around.
Yes, it is.
We're going to have it all down pat. I wrote a script while we were doing this.
We have no excuse.
We're going to hit all those marks.
Yeah.
Why don't you all describe your podcast and where you can find it?
Okay. So you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, other places. Yeah.
And what do we do?
Those,
could do
those
that.
four for sure.
Yeah, we can do the caveat of like wherever you find podcasts. Our podcast is about three people who tend to like each other. And we come together and we describe things that we find scary. And then we like to ask the question of why is it scary though? So we'll look at like personal anecdotes. We will talk about the history behind it. Sometimes we'll look into the psychology, the anthropology, the sociology, any ologies about it, the cosmetology, I don't know, there's no other ologies I can think of.
Theology.
The end of the list.
You know, it's funny because I'm actually a cosmetologist.
Are you?
What?
Yeah, I teach cosmetology.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You can't see me
That's
right now,
so
but I need
cool.
some lessons.
Okay, no, Maggie, get your picture. She did makeup just for this.
Oh God. Okay, so I'm gonna do the most dangerous thing any woman could think of, and put my rear camera on and face it at me, and not know how many chins I'm gonna have in a second. The reveal.
How'd she do? I think she looks lovely. Look at your face.
Beautiful.
You are a lovely
Back. Oh, look at that
I
speaker.
love it.
It's lovely. I like it.
Game
That
of
must be
Thrones,
really brutal.
It's your
How do
boyfriend's
you-
books.
How do
Oh
you
yeah,
teach?
no, it's not mine. I don't read.
I never watched Game of Thrones because it was all about floppy wiener.
A lot of floppy wiener.
Was that the plot? I think I've actually would have watched it if that was the actual plot of it, but okay.
I know.
That was the whole first season, was just flopping dick.
Oh my! So Jack, can we ask you a question? So right before we started speaking to you, we were talking. We had our camp episode. So this is a fun little preview. Have you ever seen Sleepaway Camp?
No.
The movie from 1983? Okay, then never mind. Cut it out. It's completely unrelated. Just, the only common thread is the twist is penis.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Please.
Do it. Oh my gosh,
And then
do it.
email us.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that tonight. I have nothing else to do. I'm going to watch it.
Perfect. And then
Sleepaway
let
Camp.
us know. Sleepaway Camp, 1983.
Yeah, no, 1983 specifically though.
So it's one of these like B-rated 80s horror films.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
It's a slasher. So it's actually known as one of the forefronts of the slasher genre. And it really is fascinating because a lot of the tropes that we've become really desensitized to are right in the forefront. And it kind of kicked off this movement. But it is a trip. It's a trip. And there is the whole twist and kind of climax of the movie is a literal penis.
That's all we're
Okay.
gonna say about that.
It's the little climax to everything. A penis.
A penis. Actually, that really sums up our perspective as well. We tend to have very heavy feminist views in terms of how we look at everything that we talk about. So I feel like that's also somewhat relevant. Look, I brought it back around, Maggie. Don't be
You did.
embarrassed about
I'm
me.
not embarrassed. I was going to say we're three ladies. I would be ashamed of ourselves if we did not have a heavy feminist view on things.
There you go. We're ready to go.
When the show started out, there was only two of you. How did the third become the third?
One day I was recording with Jackie and Loren appeared, and then turns out Jackie was in the bathroom for a year.
Exactly. Exactly that.
No.
Starting out, it's really hard to balance that kind of hobby versus job, in terms of responsibility. And I was really deeply consumed in my actual career at the time. And Maggie and Loren went to school together. Loren's in what I would consider theater.
Yeah.
So her degree would consider it theater.
I'm not trying to put anything on you that you don't want to talk about.
It's fine.
Right? And it just kind of fell into place after things started settling out. I feel like we have an interesting dynamic. And even though we align in most of our values, we can enter from different enough angles that even with the three of us, it's not overcrowded.
Right.
Yeah.
I really like that about your podcast too, because you go in, you talk about a subject, whether it's an urban legend, a cryptid, or just some random person living in your house, and you turn around and put your own little twist on it, and you bring views that each other doesn't necessarily have. And I really like that. Yeah, you guys mesh really well together when you do that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, we like to make jokes because life is pretty scary, so we can't take anything seriously.
I'm very much that bare naked lady song of I'll make you laugh at a funeral. So
Yeah, it's a coping strategy. But so we were talking about these questions the other night. Actually, we were just playing games, hanging around.
they were all drinking games, by the way.
I
Those
feel
are the
like
only games to play.
Exactly.
I feel like our answers to the first couple questions, at some point we stopped and we're like, wait, Jack's not our therapist. We really shouldn't put all of this on him. That's not fair. But you're getting it anyway, so thank you.
And I love it.
I just need to know what insurance you take after this, so I don't get billed too much.
We can't pay out of pocket. Don't do that to us. Be friends.
No, my listeners really enjoy hearing what your podcast is like. So when there's all of you there, it really makes you mesh and come together like your actual podcast. So I really appreciate you guys taking out the time to come on. So
Thank you.
We're in quarantine. We literally have nothing better to do.
Yeah.
We beg for people to talk to us constantly.
Yeah. No one.
Oh, uh-oh. You went a little robot there. Can you repeat?
Oh, I said nobody wants to talk to us.
Oh,
Even though we keep begging them to talk to us.
I'm sorry I made you repeat that. That's so sad.
do you at least have a window that you can open and yell across the street to somebody? And
Well, actually, Loren and I live together, so we just yell at each other constantly.
Yeah.
And I was counting the other day, and Loren, Jackie, and I are in 3 different group chats together.
Yep.
So, we talk to each other more than probably anyone else.
Yeah, even
Yeah, I definitely
tangentially.
talk to Maggie and Jackie more than I talk to my own mom, which is sad. Hi, Mom.
Call her mom.
well, since my mom doesn't listen to this show, I can admit I haven't talked to her in like a month. She's trapped in Illinois. And so I figure since she's in quarantine still too, that she's safe.
Yes.
fair.
Yeah.
Hopefully she is. Yeah.
Illinois, actually, I was reading something recently. Illinois has like one of the lowest drops in cases of COVID. So good on her there.
Promising.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have friends coming down. They're flying in tomorrow from Illinois because they actually just want to go sit down and eat in a restaurant.
Oh my god.
Do you remember what that's like?
Barely.
No.
Or what a bar is like?
I mean,
it's going to be a problem when they let us out of our cages.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other night was actually the first night we had seen each other in person in probably 3 months.
Yeah.
And we made a toast because the last gathering we had was actually all together. So we made a toast, and the toast was literally starting quarantine or ending quarantine the same way we started, and we all took a shot of vermouth, which is also how we started quarantine.
It was Rumplemints.
Rumplemints. I'm sorry, I don't remember what we took a shot of.
Yeah, because those are totally two different alcohols.
They are.
No, it was the mintiest. What is it? A liqueur?
I have no clue.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
You jerks didn't let me finish my dinner first before you made me take it, so all I could taste was minty chicken nuggets the rest of the night.
There you go. Here's the offending bottle. It is a peppermint schnapps liqueur.
Oh,
Delightful.
Beautiful.
I thought it was good. I thought it tasted like Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tasty.
It is tasty if you don't have chicken nuggets immediately after.
Yes.
Probably.
Well, there's
minty meat. Lamb. Minty meat is not good.
What are we talking about again? Are we part of a podcast?
Oh, we're talking about our podcast. Yes. Hello,
Minty
Jack.
anything is horrible.
There's a much longer list of minty things that are terrible compared to minty things that are not terrible. That is, I feel like that's objective.
Yeah.
That's actually what our podcast is about.
This is a secret podcast.
It's the sub podcast of our podcast.
I'm going to make a new podcast called Making It Mint, and we're just going to try different things with mint flavoring.
And then have to make it good. Oh, you know what? I'm in. Let's do it. You've convinced me.
How many different alcohols can you mix mint with and it tastes good?
We'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we'll send you an email. That'll
When
be
they
our
give us-
bonus episode for
when they give us our-
Christmas.
I was going to say, yeah, when they give us our phones back from rehab, we'll tell you how that's
What are your favorite urban legends or cryptid? I can't even talk. Cryptid stories.
I would say my favorite cryptid is Champ, because I grew up in Vermont, and so there used to be, I think, a minor league baseball team, and Champ was their mascot. I can't remember what the team was actually called, but Champ was the mascot. So I think Champ is mine.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, because I've never heard of Champ.
Oh, he's
Champy from
yeah. I
Lake-
mean, if you know what the Loch Ness monster is, same thing, only in the northeast of New England.
in Lake Champlain.
Yeah,
Okay.
That is so cool.
yeah,
So he's a lake monster?
yes,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's really cool. Mags?
So like, I'm laughing because I had a lot of trouble figuring out what I exactly liked, and I had gone on a walk with like my boyfriend this morning, and we were discussing it a little bit, and we came up with things like there's no such thing as systematic racism. That's a great urban legend I love. Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer. We found that really funny. But I think I settled on a little bit a non-conventional answer in that, like, I've been really into internet urban legends in the idea of like ARGs, and like one that I'm following now is like I Am Sophie, and it's a continuing one, and I personally just really enjoy it because the twists and turns it takes, and because it's on the internet and it's a short film and no one's paying for that specifically. It's allowed to take whatever artistic reach it wants to. And I'm enjoying the fact that I can't guess what's going to happen next. And everything that does happen happens, and it makes sense why it's happening. But it's not to the point where 3 episodes in, you're like, oh, that person's the murderer. I know it now. And especially with these short things that come out on like YouTube or on Instagram and things like that, it's really great how they have the ability to give you only the information you need. And I feel like a lot of the times it's hard to do that with different series, especially like movies or other things like that. So that's my favorite urban legend right now, is like the ARG of like, I Am Sophie. Going with that. Final answer.
Yeah, I've been watching that with Maggie as well. I haven't watched from the beginning, but I've like whenever it updates, she wants me to watch it with her, and it's very enjoyable. I like trying to figure out the twist to things, and I can't figure it out, so it's very enjoyable for me as well.
I feel like we're in a new era with the internet of the creepypasta is a thing of the past, and it kind of sparked this revival of using social media. There have been horror stories via Twitter, not just YouTube, where it's a medium that it's a little more tangible, but the short fiction that is updated and you really have to follow it. It's been something really thrilling, and I'm excited to see what's next.
I also find it so interesting how quickly horror stories start to integrate into social media. So like you have the weird Facebook questioning, and then the Reddit users go all crazy. But like one of the newest ones that's really starting to rise up and shine up is TikTok. Like all of a sudden people are putting their horror stories on TikTok. And it's
really?
Yes. Like, but it happened overnight. Suddenly people were like, now I'm going to start showing the weird shit that's happening. Like there's ghost shit going on. And is it real? Is it not real? Woo.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few ghost-related TikToks where somebody was running in the background or somebody would poke their head.
I love that.
TikTok is such an interesting forum because it always ends up kind of being like one of those like 2 sentences short stories because you only got a minute to raise a plot or raise an interest in something. It's so creative, and it's so interesting what people do with it.
That's great. I love that. My cryptid is.
Do you want to find other paranormal, conspiracy, horror, and sci-fi podcasts? Visit paranormalityradio.com.
My husband always tells this story. He was driving through a pine forest in southern New Jersey, and he swears to God that he watched a glowing mattress float across the road. And I don't care if it's never been documented. No one else has ever seen it. It's my favorite cryptid. I really want to believe that there is a sentient glowing mattress just living in the Pine Barrens, just being happy.
Huh. Okay.
and just so like we don't get screamed at. Yes, the Jersey Devil lives in the Pine Barrens, and as New Jersey people, we acknowledge the existence of the Jersey Devil. He's out there. Caca. Ah.
I don't know. I like the mattress way better than the Jersey Devil.
Right? The Jersey Devil, I just feel is rooted. I feel like that's a whole podcast in and of itself. But the plot is just depressing, and I feel like if the Jersey Devil is out there, it deserves love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go hug your local Jersey Devil today.
Go hug your local Jersey Devil.
If they ask for it, consent. Active consent.
But active consent. Do not touch a Jersey Devil without them saying that it's okay to do so.
I got like 2 that I really, really like right now. One is the Glimmer Man. Have you heard of the Glimmer Man?
No. It sounds great for Pride Month. What is the Glitter Man?
Well, the Glimmer Man supposedly is a cloaked figure, and they call him the Glimmer Man because you only see him. Have you ever seen the movie The Predator?
Sure, yeah.
No,
but no, like Alien versus Predator.
Oh yes, okay, never
Predator?
mind.
Yeah, like Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yes, then yes.
Yeah, when the Predator's cloaked, that's what they describe this as. Is somebody is just there watching you, and you can't see him until he moves. And then,
Like perfectly camouflaged.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stories coming out of like the Detroit area about that.
Really?
Oh.
Hanging out
That's-
with the clowns. That's a lot of fun. Oh man.
I was gonna say, it reminds me of Goat Man. That's a very like Goat Man kind of thing.
Like a copycat type.
Yeah.
You know, I recently just heard about Goat Man, like not too long ago, actually.
Which Goat Man? Because I know there's a couple. I know like BuzzFeed Unsolved did one, but that's not the one I knew about. I learned about the other one from like Reddit or some internet thing.
The one it was in Texas, Devon. No, not Devon. Somewhere in Texas, and they talked about this old goat salesman who got killed, and there was a bridge.
Yeah. So that's the one with the bridge. So there's another story. It's like a long Reddit post, and it has this fabled figure of what's called the Goat Man. And like the story goes that like a bunch of kids were like hanging out together, but they didn't all know each other. But there was like 10, maybe 11 of them. And the thing is, all of a sudden, like you don't realize this entity is with you until you like do a head count and realize there's one more person than there should have been.
And they're just like a mimid hanging out. And what? They can only repeat things they've heard?
Yes. So they'll repeat things, but they can't say anything else.
Ah.
Interesting.
Who's the goat? Who's this goat farmer, though? Is that more like a spirit who's haunting the area?
Well, I think how it went down was he was a goat farmer, and he was a black goat farmer actually, and he was murdered, and they cut off his head, and he took a goat's head and put it on his head, and now he haunts the bridge that I guess went to his farm.
Okay.
Oh.
That was one of them that I heard.
Yeah. That is it's so interesting, that protective nature of some ghosts. You get those spirits who just want to hunker down and stay where they've always been. I'm always fascinated by that. It's okay. No, we're not talking about the psychology of ghosts. That's a different It's a different podcast
Later.
But I am making a note. I feel like okay. Good.
Have you ever heard of the mirrored men?
No.
So I found out about the mirrored men from the Monsters Among Us podcast with Derek Hayes. And what they do, his podcast is really cool because he has people call in and leave a recording of their stories and encounters and stuff like that. And a lot of people have been having this encounter where they've seen 3 identical men dressed all in black, but they completely mirror each other. And you look at them and you lose hours. And then that is one entity, cryptid, whatever, I would actually like to run into.
Just out of pure curiosity.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would also say, like, it seems like a lot of that too with the Men in Black. Like, I feel like that's also something they've said about Men in Black.
Yeah.
You all of a sudden you lose time, you don't remember where you are.
Oh, it's probably aliens.
That
makes a lot of sense.
Aliens.
Yeah, never mind. We solved it.
It's always
We're done.
Loren, I don't know what you're doing, but I can hear you.
Are you typing on a typewriter?
Nope. I'm sorry.
You setting Morse code? What are you doing?
Nothing. Nope. Sorry.
I'm just picturing a little Morse code machine right beside you. And
Yeah,
you're like,
right. You already have the headphones. You're like,
Right.
they know about the Men in Black.
No.
Abort mission. Abort.
Sorry.
our feed's going to get cut any minute now.
Yeah,
Putting it
right.
away. Putting it
You
away.
know too much.
No, the feed wouldn't be cut. We'd be definitely allowed to say whatever it is. You would just lose the whole file during editing. And now I'm going to knock on wood so that doesn't happen to
Yeah,
you.
right.
Well, it's a good thing I triple back up my files.
There we
There you go.
Yeah.
I
Don't let
learned
them
that
have
a
it.
long time ago.
We're fighting the system here. Come on.
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago. I put my files in 3 different places. That way, if I lose one, I still have 2.
That's a good strategy.
It is
Perfect.
a really good strategy, and maybe I should take that into account. I'm trying to think.
Well, I had a computer issue once, and it had all my old episodes, and it just crashed, and I couldn't recover any of them.
Oh man,
That's brutal.
I will say that's like kind of why I'm in love now with Google Drive and Google everything, because not only does everyone have access to it, but it's in that same spot, and I can get it later.
Yeah. And if Google goes down, we all go down. So the podcast is the last of our.
The world is actually over. If Google ends, or Amazon, either one actually.
I don't know what I'd do without Amazon.
I don't know either.
I think everything would just stop. I don't know.
Like when you're quarantined, that's all you can do is order Amazon, right?
I know. Yeah. What was it? It was billions of dollars. Jeff Bezos's wealth increased by billions during the quarantine, just because there's really nothing else you can do if you need something.
Did anybody else during quarantine fantasy buy things? Like I put things in my cart and then would delete them because I was like, I don't need that.
100. I was like, maybe by the end of this, I'll be the person that will wear like a furry hat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So my boyfriend also did that because he wanted a quarantine hobby. He did that with a banjo.
He can have my banjo.
I told him that multiple times and he did not like that idea.
Why doesn't he? It's a stag. It's great. It's great. It's a good banjo.
I never had a banjo.
I do. Well, that's the exact problem. Is I took banjo lessons 8 years ago and I have a banjo that I don't play. I think I'm the kind of person that'll play one, but I never do it.
Why did you take that up as your quarantine hobby?
I don't know. I've been doing things like washing the floors more, and we adopted a dog, so that's been a lot of my, time. And now we're building a fence in the backyard. I feel like there's always something else to do. And Animal Crossing. Endless animal.
Yeah. I didn't really start Amazon shopping during the quarantine until the last few weeks. Right. So we ordered a puzzle and we ordered a chess set. And it's not a super high quality or anything. We got the chess set. My friend is very good at chess. The puzzle won't get here until the middle of July. It was not a Prime item.
Oh my God, I ordered strawberry seeds because I was like, Justin wants to do make strawberry plants a thing. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
And I ordered them and they're not coming till August.
Oh, I feel like that's outside of strawberry season even.
It really is.
You're going to have to hope that you're the same person next spring.
Just get a little glow lamp. Do a little indoor herb garden.
Oh, that would be cute.
Jack, what's your
quarantine impulse buy? Yeah, I gotta know.
And/or impulse buy.
What was that? You were all.
What's your quarantine impulse buy?
Well, it was going to be a tiger, but Amazon doesn't have those.
I'm looking at the Care Bear behind you, though. You have something good in your wish list right now. What is it?
But the Care Bear is actually my wife's. Yes, I'm a huge Doctor Who nerd.
So you've got something. What is it? Tell me. Tell us.
It's the TARDIS.
It's the actual TARDIS.
It is a life-size replica of the TARDIS.
There you go.
It's going to be the addition on your house. It's fine. Yeah.
I actually got into an argument with my wife because she told me I couldn't put it in the front yard. Like, why not?
Rude.
Because it'll look like shit.
The house with the TARDIS in the front yard. That's perfect landmark for directions.
I feel I super want to be totally supportive of that, but I know
So I settled on a fountain.
Oh, okay, that's lovely.
I guess a TARDIS is going to have to go in the back.
Right?
Yeah.
Why not get a TARDIS fountain?
I'm sure that would get voted down too.
Oh.
No, but I actually did do a lot of Amazon purchasing. I needed new curtains and stuff like that. I bought a bunch of stuff for around the house so I could get some stuff done.
This is the crunchy hippie in me talking, but I really do believe that you vote with your wallet. So like if everybody just decided like, oh yeah, so and so is a piece of trash, I'm not going to buy from their company anymore, like that, the stock prices would reflect that, the sales would reflect that. That's why the price of gas dropped so much, right? Because people are staying home.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
They're not buying gas. So
we're just going to have to collectively make the decision that our comfort is not as important as this social value, which I would love to say I have the balls for. Doing it in person is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Like, well, back in the 70s, I know all the truckers got together and they basically stopped hauling for a week because prices were going up on everything. And then after that, guess what? Gas prices went down. Everything went back down because that's how you got your shit back then.
Yeah. That's what it takes. Just some good old fashioned discomfort on everyone's part.
You know, I'll live through a little bit of discomfort just to have normal, everyday, freedoms that we had in the before times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that's the major thing, is that like this is not necessarily an always, but you'll learn. I work with kids that you teach them certain lessons and they're hard to learn in the beginning, but it makes life sure of a lot easier to do later on. So if you just kind of follow that ideal until it's okay, we don't have to relearn the lesson. That's all I'm going to say.
But
we don't have to relearn a lesson.
Humans are terrible.
Have any of you ever had a paranormal experience before?
I have.
Go ahead, Loren.
So, I used to, when I was at college, I used to work for like the theater building. So like when we had a concert, I would come in and I would help like set up all the speakers and microphones and stuff for that. So we were having an event this one day, and a bunch of us were up in the light booth, and some people were sitting on one side of like the center aisle up there, like closer to where you could look out and see the audience. And then some people were sitting on the back wall of the same area. And I remember I was looking out the window over the audience, and I felt this like very cold breeze go by me. And then I turned around and no one had walked through. And nobody had moved. And I said, did anybody else feel that really cold breeze? And everybody said, yeah. The theater building itself was actually built on the same plot of land that the medical college used to be on, of the same collegiate institution. So the theater building is probably haunted.
Well,
probably.
The other thing about that is where the theater was built, they actually had an original building that was called the Old Chapel. Yeah. And the Old Chapel actually got moved down the street. And during the move down the street, they literally took the foundation out and were moving it and found skeletal remains under the building.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, but once my playlist is done, I jump over to Audible. I love audiobooks because I really don't have time to read like I'd like to. I'm either driving, I'm cooking, I'm doing something where my time isn't where it needs to be to read. So that's why I love all the audiobooks that they offer. There's thousands in all different genres. But Audible is more than just audiobooks. They have podcasts, guided wellness programs, theatrical performances, comedy skits, and they also have exclusive Audible originals that you're not going to find anywhere else. And I want to offer you a free trial of Audible. All you have to do is click on the link in the show notes, try it for free. If you don't like it, you can cancel it anytime. But if you're like me, you're going to love it. So head on over to audible.com/paranormality.
It turns out the medical college at the time didn't have enough money to buy cadavers, so they were grave robbing from local cemeteries. And there is a story too. I don't know if you know this one, Loren, but there's a story that the townspeople were very upset and came to the stairs of the iconic building, or like our forefront building of the college. And the president of the time had the head of some famous townsperson, and the townsperson were demanding to get the body back or they're going to burn down the college. And the guy was like, I'll give you back the head if you don't do that.
Oh no, that's not enough.
Yeah. And that's not even an urban. I don't know how much it's true about the president talking to the townspeople, but the bodies underneath the building is not an urban legend. There are skeletal remains on display in both the old chapel building and in the library of the college.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Maggie and I went to the third oldest college in the country.
16th
oldest.
Third, 16th, same thing.
State, I think.
Yeah, same thing. It's the oldest college in the state of Vermont.
Okay, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep. Haunted AF. Yeah.
I've always wanted a paranormal experience, but I've really never had anything satisfying, nothing definitive. I've had experiences in the house that I live in currently that I swear. So I was upstairs and I heard something and I thought it was my husband coming home late. So I leaned over the banister and I saw a shadow as if someone were walking through the kitchen. So I yelled over. I was like, hey, you home? And there was no answer. So I said, okay. And the dog was definitely on the couch. I could see her. It wasn't my dog. So it could have been someone who died here, and I believe that it is.
We do theorize it's either someone who died there or she has someone living in the basement.
Oh, or the attic. So
Or
my
the attic.
attic has a lock on the outside of the door.
Yeah, you said that in one of your podcasts. I think it was
Yeah.
when like the people living in the people's houses.
Yes.
That episode.
Yes. So I don't understand. That doesn't make sense. No one puts doorknobs on like that. Why would anyone do that?
Well, you're locking a child up there that's going to live on fish heads and whatever else that you have in the.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yes, clearly, obviously.
Like it's a deformed child. It's been up there since like 1980. He's like part of the Goonies.
I know, just fucking living in the rafters. We're like, yeah, that's where we put all of our board games that we can't keep downstairs. At least he has toys.
That's how I make myself sleep at night.
Yep. As I wait for creaks, blanket pulled up. What's happening? What's up there?
What's he doing?
Right.
I have never had a paranormal experience, really. I think it's because I want it too badly, and you know, that's ghosts don't like people who want them.
No,
it's fine. I'm not offended. It's fine. We did so. Jackie, her husband, myself, and my boyfriend all went to New Orleans for a trip, and we went on a graveyard tour, and they had some form of ghost box or whatever. And to me, it just sounds like they were going like bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop, bloop, bleep, 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 bloop, bloop. But like, apparently like there was a text that would come up, and one of the texts that came up, like, or they asked the question, like, name someone here or something like that. And one of the things came up was Justin, which is the name of my boyfriend, who is a non-believer. And is very kind to me in the sense that he lets me spew out my ghost knowledge all over the place and does not insist I mop it up. He's very good about it. And
that's disgusting, but I love that analogy.
So he it says his name, and I like look at him wide-eyed, and he just looks at me and shrugs like he's in a 90s comedy, and it means
That sounds
nothing.
like Justin.
It does. And like, so as we're leaving, the guy's like, oh, if you don't want the spirits to follow you back, you have to walk out backwards because it confuses them in the direction if you're coming or going. So I look at my boyfriend and I was like, look, I know you don't believe in it, but I do not want bad juju or whatever coming back to the hotel with us. So you need to turn around and walk back. So he agrees. He does it. The story goes on that we actually did not have the best time in New Orleans. It just, if you ever go to New Orleans, we highly suggest you go for 3 days, no more. We went for 4. It was too much. We thought we could drink. We don't actually know how to drink. We are not on that level.
We're posers.
So as we're leaving the actual plane to step back into Newark.
You know the tube that connects you from the plane to the gate?
Yeah, the terminal.
There you go. The terminal.
Yeah. I don't know who said it. I don't know who had the idea, but we all looked at each other and we went, we need to walk out backwards so nothing follows us from the trip.
So Louisiana stays where it is.
So we all look like freaking weirdos because right 2 steps before we're leaving this gate, we all do an about face and walk out backwards. So
it was a beautiful.
It was a bonding experience, if any.
It really, yeah, we came out stronger for it, I think.
We certainly have stories to tell people.
Right.
I actually had plans to go to New Orleans the first of last month, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, the first of this month. And then the whole COVID thing came about, and that just pretty much shot our vacation plans. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never been there. I want to go. I want to go see those voodoo shops.
You really should. And they're not, I feel like, Maggie, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like we've been building it in our head for so long because we've always been deep lovers of the paranormal. And I feel like when you have that deep-rooted love of witchery, when you actually see what's there, it's more human sadness than it is, a spiritual moment, which I think is what we're looking for. So it's more like a never meet your heroes type thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you're going for a good time, you can find it. We met good people. We had good experiences. I think we were fixated more on the fantasy of New Orleans more than what it actually is. And that was our undoing. So if you don't have that, you'll probably have a lot of fun.
I will, as an aside, highly suggest they have the largest World War II museum there.
Oh yeah,
that's a great time. That was a good time.
You'll cry. Well, I cried. I don't want to speak. I speak for everyone, but you'll probably cry. But it was beautiful. It was a really, really, really cool exhibit that they had. Absolutely beautifully done.
Mm-hmm.
That was a couple things I was looking at. I was looking at that and their aquarium. I really love fish, and I have a huge saltwater tank.
Do you really? What do you have? What kind of fish?
I have a predator tank, so I have pufferfish in there. I have eels.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a lionfish in there.
And they just they don't bother each other. They just chill.
Yeah, they all have their own little places they like to go, and they don't
Nice.
bother anybody. And then when I put I'll put fish in, or I'll put shrimp, depending on what I want to feed them that week.
And you watch them eat them.
Well, they don't do it all at once, but yeah, they'll swim around in there for about a week before they all are devoured.
Oh, live
Cool.
shrimp, and they just wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That is really cool. I had a doctor who had I guess it must have been saltwater aquarium because they had sea urchin.
Yes.
And those are awful. They're absolutely terrible. And I would sit across in the office and I would just watch them. Just their spiky beings. And I would go to the bathroom and come back and they'd still be there, or they'd have moved. And that was almost worse. It was it's not a good experience. That's why I don't keep fish. I'm just kidding. That was only a year ago. It's not why I am the way I am, but
That doesn't explain anything about my personality.
No, it's just an expansion. It's a new room that I never knew existed. of, oh, Jackie, have you met sea urchins?
What's your favorite episode you've done so far?
God.
I liked the ocean one.
It's so hard. I feel like, and again, I'll just speak for myself. But I feel like once I put those thoughts down onto the recording, they're gone. It's like from Harry Potter. What is that?
The pensive.
The pensive. Like you pull it out and you put it down, and then it's there and it's done. If I re-listen to our episodes, I don't recognize myself. I have zero memory of anything I've said. That being said, I have re-listened to Clowns, and I love that series. I love it so much. I feel like it was really fun to talk about and record, and it's an interesting kind of cultural concept.
I'm going to change my answer. I actually like doing the Falling Through Space episode the best, I think.
I wasn't on that, but I like it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think like we just had a really good time preparing for that episode too.
So what do you guys do to prepare for your episodes? I mean, other than just get a lot of drinking and going on.
That's not a preparation. That's a marathon during recording.
Oh.
That's how we get through it.
We do
just to like loosen up a little. It depends what the topic is. Sometimes if we do like bonus content, it's just watching a bunch of movies. But if it's like something like right now we're doing a whole series about witches, there's a lot of research in that. So it depends on the subject of the episode.
Right. We try to be respectful. So if it's something that we can take liberties, we will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if it's something but even Maggie's done a beautiful job of not just taking actual research and quoting, actual journalists or writers. She'll throw in a cute little story, almost as a palate cleanser, and then we can expand on that.
Yeah.
So there's always a balance. I don't know if I'd say we're educational. What do you think, Mags?
That's my goal, but who
oh, is
say?
it? Oh, shit. Well, that's why we need to have a meeting. What is our podcast about? We don't know.
I don't know. I will say that personally wise, before the quarantine, we used to have a tradition of what we would call business cheese.
Oh, yes.
So we would make different charcuterie plates and eat them together and discuss what we were going to talk about and then go into it. So that's technically how we prepare for a podcast.
Yes.
The not fun of it is kind of what we do is we have a document set up of future ideas, and we'll go through the list about things that we would like to talk about, and we'll just all agree on a topic, and we'll go and all look up some of the reasons why it's spooky, and I will put it in a document. We'll all look at the document, go over what we think needs to be in there, what maybe doesn't need to be in there, and we'll then have business cheese and record. So
yeah, it's not romantic at all.
No.
We'll sit around and we'll say, is this enough for an entire episode, or should we find another element and try to condense it? We do try to have a focus. I hope we achieve it.
Try is the
What do you think?
On some episodes you do, on some episodes you kind of stray away, but you always get back to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You always make it full circle, and that's what I like.
Right.
I mean, you do go off on your tangents, but you always come back full circle to complete what your guys are actually the subject is about.
Yeah, and that's kind of how we were going with it, in the sense that at least when I say we, Jackie and I kind of hatched the idea, it was because we were sitting around talking with each other, and we would just go off on these random topics about the paranormal and we would watch ghost hunting shows, and we'd have to pause the show because we were talking too much about this or that. And we decided we liked podcasts before that, so we decided, like, let's just do a podcast about this and stop annoying our significant others with tales, because both of them are skeptics, so it's really like a love child between all three of us.
Yeah.
But it's, in a way, it's supposed to be someone hopefully coming in on a conversation that we would have with each other, and kind of like how you meet with friends and learn something new about something. Like, oh, I didn't know that. And like, oh, Psychology Today says such and such. And like, oh, Smithsonian, does it really say that? No way. Oh my gosh.
Right.
You're so learned.
Right? Like, my hope is that the three of us are talking at the end of a bar and the person next to us is like leaning in, like, I actually want to hear what you're saying. I feel like that's our audience.
Like creepily leaning in, or
definitely. And then we notice they're being creepy and we're like, get in here. Get in here. Tell us your story. We want to hear it. Right? We ask people every episode, please email us.
No one does.
No one does.
Really, that is sad.
It's very sad.
It really is.
I want to talk to strangers. Come on.
What is your email address so people can send you stuff?
ladiesfright@gmail.com. We all know it. We're so good at it.
We're so good at it.
What is your favorite podcast that you're listening to right now?
Loren, you go. You got the longest list.
I can't pick up like a singular favorite, so I'll give you my top three. My favorite, Murder, which actually Maggie introduced me to. And I just really like it for the storytelling aspect. Not that I think like true crime and murder and all of that stuff is like entertaining, but the way that they tell the stories is entertaining. And then Natch Butte, which is like a beauty lifestyle podcast. The host is Jackie Johnson, and she's just like really funny, and like I wish I was friends with her in real life because she's real cool. And then my third one is called Detail Therapy, and that's kind of a lifestyle, but like businessy, but like I don't know. Her tagline is "Go after the life you want." So yeah. I really dig her too.
Kind of like I feel like there's a negative connotation to the phrase, but like a self-help kind of.
Yeah.
Push yourself out. That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's more like food for thought with that particular one. But yeah, those are my top picks.
I like that. Max?
Mine is my favorite, Murder. I'm not going to say that I'm heavily influenced by them, but I'm heavily influenced by them. I am going to go against Loren and say that I do find true crime entertaining. I'm very much into like there is a bad guy in the situation and rallying behind someone succeeding, or just hearing about the normal horrors of everyday life and dealing with that in a comedic way and just trying to come together and, I hate to say it, like solve the crime, but it's not really solving the crime, but like come together and like talk about it and commiserate with each other. And it's a natural horror. It's maybe not paranormal, but it is a horror. And into that topic, clearly. So there.
I mean, there's a reason why true crime is the top podcast to listen to.
Everybody secretly is interested in it.
Oh,
we're just now all like realizing it.
True crime has always existed, and it will always. It's eternal.
But it's the real life boogeyman, especially like serial killers. Real life boogeyman, and there's no way to technically protect yourself from it, but even at the same time, you kind of feel like you're in a safe bubble.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, that's the thrill of it, I hate to say. Am I really safe? Am I not really safe? I'm going to sit in my car in traffic and ponder.
Right. Speaking of which, so I really love Let's Not Meet. Well, I mean, I love having things read to me. So I love that he is basically reading a subreddit to me. Because if I had that option for everything, I would take it. But I also love, it's like a real life scenario type deal versus No Sleep podcast, which I also love and have been listening to for years. I just love all horror. And then beyond that, my baser pleasure will always be The Bachelor. And I listen, no shit, I have 5 recap podcasts that I listen to. And some might call it pathetic, but then I'm pathetic. I own it.
That was so New Jersey right there. You think it's pathetic? Then I'm pathetic. Fine. Fine.
Well, before we get out of here, where can people find you again?
Okay, so if you want to listen, we're on Apple, Stitcher, Google, and Spotify. If you are interested in social media, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with me today.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's really cool. Oh, wait, Jack, before we go.
Yeah, no, we have an interview question for you.
We have a question for you.
Ooh.
How often do people say, oh, Jack Kirby, are you the comic writer and artist? Does that happen?
No.
We did have a short session before this discussing the name, and Jackie was like, well, he died in 1994. And I was like, it's a ghost. So this is going to be interviewing us.
Right. So that's been our mindset going into this, is that you're a ghost. So thank you for having us in the afterlife. It's been great.
Though I do know all about Jack Kirby because I am a huge nerd. I really am. I am a huge comic book nerd. Even though my favorite comic book is actually a Vertigo comic, I still do know all the... Constantine is my favorite comic book.
Constantine.
Yeah, I have a real fascination with angels and demons. Well, that's it for this week's episode. If you like the show, go ahead and share it with all your friends. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Go knock on your neighbor's door. So until next week, I'm Jack.
Hang on, I will be right back. I'm so sorry.
This also happens a lot during our podcast.
No, I understand.
It's called the take a break time.
Oh, I completely understand.
It's real fun. Later, I'll go and I'll listen in because I do the first round of editing. So I'll go and I'll listen in. I get to listen to everything we were doing in the background. It's a lot of us screaming at each other from a distance. Or yelling at the dogs. A lot of yelling at the dogs.
Sorry about that. Oh, no.
It's okay. We were talking about the one time we caught you watching porn, Jackie.
You caught me watching porn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
It was a Wednesday.
You're going to have to be a lot more specific.